Hello, hello, hello. Keith Ferrante here with my son-in-law, my second son now, Landon Stankiewicz.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be on this side of the camera, I guess.
Landon is always the mastermind behind the camera. And I said, hey, I'd love to have you do a conversation. And so here we are coming together. Now, you've been in the family, how long now?
Since 21.
21.
I've been around since 21.
It's been around for 21. You were courting my daughter.
Yes. Yep. Officially a part of the family since 23.
23.
According to the law, at least.
So courting my daughter at 21, he had to go through the gauntlet of the Ferrante.
Yeah.
The Ferrante gauntlet. How you made it on the other side? How was that journey?
It was a journey, as you know.
It was a good journey of both of us learning to.
Yes, I think it was both of us learning how to communicate to people in the position that they were in, essentially. Like you being a dad, having to give away your only daughter. I can't even imagine what that's like. I will one day, have to probably come to you and be like, hey, what would you have done different? Or what? And then me coming in and trying to, become a part of a family that's already established. And it's just interesting. And having my own junk coming into it and putting that on other people and kind of sorting through it, and you being gracious through those times. And
me having my own junk too.
I didn't want to put it on you.
To sort through that.
Fair. I didn't want to put it on you. Yeah, so it's just
normal stuff.
Yeah, just us kind of sorting through our own junk and figuring it out. Because I feel like we're in the best place that we've been. Because there was times when we would just be in a room and not really talk, or you would ask me a question and I would give you a one-word response because I was like, I don't want to be here right now, And I think it's interesting because we, I don't know how much we're getting into, but we had one conversation. We'll call it a conversation that really opened up the floodgates in a good way. For us to establish
intense conversations.
Intense, yeah.
I remember there was two. There was back to back. There was like one, and then there was another one, and that kind of we needed a breakthrough in our relationship, and we finally got down to the heart of things. It's been a joy to learn this dynamic, but it's not easy. It's almost like, I guess it would in some ways be like adoption. Yeah. It's like it's probably not easy for the person being adopted, and I heard somebody say recently, it's like, oh, yeah, I have some adopted kids and foster kids, and I love them just as much as I love my own biological kids. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that seems hard to imagine. Like how hard is it to get it? I mean, it's true. It happens. It's happened with us, but it is hard to get someone in your heart.
Yeah.
In both sides, whoever it is, whether it's like a journey like us, as you married my daughter, and then it's like, how do you get someone in your heart? And so it's possible. And for all of you that are, you always hear the stories about father-in-laws or potential fathers, father-in-laws with their future son-in-laws, and it is true. Like when you're giving away your daughter, it's just not easy. Yeah. Like a daughter has, I noticed this growing up. It was like with just whoever Macy ended up dating or whatever. It was like you always just had suspicions. You're just like, I know you're gonna be terrible for my daughter, because I remember myself. You're not terrible might be too strong, but like you're a horny young man. Are you going to be able to control yourself?
Fair.
And it was like, so you were the last one.
I was the last one standing.
So I already had some like not so good scenarios kind of leading up to that.
Yeah.
And then, so you kind of had to take my suspicions, but no, you were the best one, bro. You've proven to, from day one, you cared about Macy and you did a great job, and you guys had your journey growing, but you protected her, you won the trust, and you got into our hearts, and we love you. But it's an important journey of any family to have someone come in that's not blood.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's what when I was sorting it out, because I was feeling how I was feeling, but I also wanted to respect the relationship that you guys all had and not pull her away. And I was like, I know I'm the problem right now, but I'm not quite in a place where I want to sort it out completely.
Yeah.
And so you guys really showed grace in those moments for me. But now you guys are family, and
Yeah.
like to hear you say that like I made it and I'm treating her well and all that, like that's a big honor for me, because that's what I want to do. That's my intention.
Yeah.
Like I want you to be able to sleep at night and be like, my daughter's taken care of, kind of
Yeah.
a thing.
Well, and you did it from the beginning. You were respectful from the start, even when you were dating. But the journey of our hearts learning to trust that you were that guy, and you trust that we were a family worth connecting your heart to. I mean, my own journey with my father-in-law, who's now with the Lord, from my wife's dad, but that was not easy for me. That took a while, and he had a little bit more unhealthy dynamics.
Yeah.
So for me, as this, like you are to me, but it was harder for me to want to like love him, and because he just wasn't healthy relationally, and he just didn't know how to do that. And he was a caring person, but he just didn't know how to be a healthy relational person.
Yeah.
And it was like learning the Lord had to call me up on that. It was like, hey, you need to honor him as your father. And even started, I remember, because it's like we moved from Missouri to California as quick as I could. As soon as I was out of Bible college, I took Heather to California, which was 2,500 miles or however far that is apart.
Give me away from
Give
this
me
guy.
as far apart. So then what did I do? Slow down the relational journey.
Yep.
It's just
we
like,
think we're helping ourselves, but we're just kicking ourselves in the knees.
Yeah. So then it was like probably 5 or 6 years in, the Lord's like, you're dishonoring him. You need to start calling him father. Because I never called him father. I called him Mike.
Yeah.
And partially because it's like, I don't have you in my heart. It's like, I see how you are relationally. I don't want to.
Yeah.
You're Mike. And it was like the Lord was saying, no, you need to call him dad. And so I remember when I flew out there, and it wasn't like he was some unhealthy person. I mean, it wasn't like he was trying the best he could, but he just didn't have healthy relational coaches, stuff we have. So he just revert back to old things. And it was like, when I was flying out there, it's like the Lord was talking to me about that. And it's like, you need to have a talk with them. And so I had to say, hey, Dad, I'm sorry. And I said, Mike, hey, I'm sorry. I've never called you Dad, and I have had my own issues in this relationship, and I'm not going to do that anymore. You're Dad to me from this moment on. And so he was in touch. He was like, hey, this touches my heart. I feel like this means more to me than many people in my, that has communicated to me in my family dynamics. And it was like, I was endeared to his heart. He didn't change relationally. It's not like, maybe a little bit. I think he probably did change, actually. Yeah, he did change. But it wasn't like he was all of a sudden better. I was just choosing to love him where he was at. And that it did do something for his heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like when you go in and you do that, like those pipes that are clogged, when you unclog them, even if nothing changed on the other end, it just there's a flow now.
Yeah.
And so you're able to like recognize when Mike was doing something nice, because before it was like, because with us, like you were always nice, but I had my own stuff, and so I was like, what does he actually want?
Yeah.
Like what's his angle? What's his angle? And that's such a hard way to enter into any kind of relationship. Like if you have suspicion, you're like, what's this guy's angle? Why is he being so nice to me? That's just like such a sick way of thinking. And so once we got those cleaned out, I'm like, oh, Keith is just a nice guy. Like Keith loves me. Keith is reaching out to me because he cares about me, not because he's keeping tabs, little things like that. So I think like
100%.
I understand what you're saying 100%.
I'm in the business world and the political world, and that is how people are in that world.
Yeah.
They're always like, what's your angle? Why are you trying to be nice to me? And you're right, it's the same thing there. And if you have an angle, they'll eventually spot it.
Yeah.
Because they've all been hurt. And so you have to try to genuinely be caring and share. I genuinely am caring. And it's like, it's my job in the relationship to actually just genuinely care towards you, even if it's not reciprocated with people. And that's what, even with my father-in-law, it's like I'm committed to being that person because I'm listening to Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And I knew he was calling me up. And it was like, I'm calling you to honor your father. And I learned it's like, that doesn't mean agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Honor doesn't mean agreement. It means, but you're finding something that you truly value about him. And Heather and I have done that over the years multiple times with different people we're having a hard time with, ourselves, others, our family. It's like, okay, what's the 10 things about them that you truly value? And then let's thank the Lord for those things. And sometimes it takes a while to find something.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
it's like
fasting and praying for that.
And you think about someone else that's more in your heart and you're like 10 or like they just come.
Yeah.
And then this one, it's like, well, yeah, I guess I should be thankful for that because it's not quite in there. That's not an easy journey in the heart, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, I think we were put in places with precarious relationships just to grow, and we can either choose to run from them, go 500 miles or whatever it is,
25,
25,
25.
Yeah. Or we can sit there and face it and actually grow and develop as a human being. Because I feel like because of the things that we've gone through, the conversations that we had, I can now, in theory, of course, because I'm sure a lot more emotions will be attached to me when I'm giving away my daughter, but in theory, I can pull on this because instead of pushing it away and just not dealing with it, we actually sat down and dealt with it. And now I'm like, okay, I have this victory under my belt. Oh, this is the way that Keith handled it. This is the way this person handled it that I talked to. And so taking all that and essentially literally letting your ceiling be our floor.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really cool about relationships. And I think it's important to have relationships with people in every different stage of life, especially as I'm getting older, because I'm like, there's stuff I don't know. Because when you're a kid, you're like, I got it all figured out. I don't need my parents. I don't need anything. I'm on my own. I'm 18. I've got the whole thing figured out. But I think that the older I get and just the closer I get with the Lord, it's like, hey, every single person has a little piece of Jesus inside of them. And so a teacher that I had told me a long time ago, everyone has something unique about them and knows something you don't know. So figure out what that thing is. And so that's kind of how I try to approach relationships now, is like, okay, this person has value. They have something that I can gain, and I also too have something that I can give and gain. And so it kind of makes it a little bit easier, because there are those tough people where it's like, all right, what are those 10 things? Right off the bat. But it's like, no, they do have those 10 things because the Lord thinks about them the way he thinks about me. I remember when we were over in Italy and we were just walking around and looking at all the people, and you were just like, dude, how does God love? Like, he just loves all these people. He thinks about all these people, and like he knows every single thing about all these people. And it just, our world kind of expanded in that moment. And it just really helped me to value what other people bring to the table, as well as what I'm bringing to the table in the scenario too.
I love that. It's a fun journey of learning to love people, and you do that well. I've seen that's one of the things that you did well. And even our relationship, I had wanted to have good relationships with anybody that was with my daughter before she was married.
Yeah.
I had determined that. And I remember my dad even saying, because I would have coffee with some of Macy's boyfriends or whoever's. Mm-hmm. And it was like, my dad was like, this is unheard of. I've never seen anybody doing this. And some of them were kind of unhealthy. You know the journey. Yeah. And I was like, my daughter was learning, because Macy has a beautiful capacity to believe the best in people. Yeah. So sometimes we were always trying to fight with, hey, you can believe the best in that one, but they don't got to be your boyfriend.
Yeah. You can pray for them.
So I would meet with them, and I would try to, like, if they trusted, if whatever, try to add my 2 cents. And it felt like almost every one of them, they could be nice to me, but then they were sort of BSing, I think. Yeah. I think they were just trying to shine me on. Yeah. So that's why I was a little suspicious in our journey, because I was trying to make sure Macy had picked somebody that was actually going to be a genuinely caring person, not just shine me on for her, to get to her. And so you were that genuine caring person that really did care. but you had to go through my gauntlet.
Yeah, there was
So,
no shining on in the beginning.
I'm not saying that was right. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was just my journey. Because honestly, when I came to you, I was like, I'm not gonna expect anything.
Yeah.
Because every time I've tried to like expect something, and they would tell me all the right things, and then they would do something else, I'm like, okay, let me just not expect anything.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when you finally started, like, okay, we might get married. Then I started.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
Let me see. Let me vet this guy, and let me
Yeah.
make sure. And then, but we got through all that.
We did. I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Appreciate that.
I wouldn't change it. It's where we are now, and I love the trajectory of our relationship. We have forever to continue to get to know
Yes.
each other, and that's an exciting thing now for me, where it's like, okay, every time I have forever, I get to spend all the Christmases with Keith and Heather and Micah.
That's so fun. That's awesome. It's fun to see where you guys are at and see what God's doing, and then it is an interesting journey of having to let you guys and having a Macy, and then you guys figure it out with and only speak in by permission. It's a different scenario as a parent to be on that journey, but you guys have been married now a couple years.
Yeah, we're about to hit 2 years next month.
2 years, and you guys are really, I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are both flourishing in different ways and growing, and God's given you opportunities in work and in marriage and house, and just some cool breakthroughs and victories. It's fun to watch, and it's fun to change the dynamic, even for me as a parent. It's hard to change that dynamic and only speak in as by permission.
Yeah.
Versus maybe never before by control, but you did inject yourself more into the scenario, and you're having to kind of back off, and that's an interesting journey just to watch somebody having to find their own way.
Yeah. Would you say, like, so with both the kids, with both of your kids, essentially being adults at this point, the dynamic before was you and Heather were the law, essentially. So you were always involved, but now that you've stepped back, does it feel like you're kind of stepping into, like, you're always parent, but does it feel like you're stepping into like friendship a little bit role?
Yeah,
like
you're trying to step into friendship. It's fun when you can have those moments where you're receiving from each other.
Yeah.
And there's still a dynamic where you can tell you're the father still. I mean, I think over the years we were taught to not. Yeah, you have to get rid of being the law as quick as possible. You start off with that as with any child. It's like, especially like a kid, like they're going to run out in the street and kill themselves. So you have to kind of have a little bit more of this. But your goal is to open up more and more. But it's hard to do as they're in your house, and you're trying to like journey where it's like you're asking, you're not telling them, you're processing with them, and you might still have to say, here's the guidelines still at home. So if they want to go another direction, it's like, that's fine, but here at home it's still going to be this direction.
Yeah.
And you might grow some, and you might actually adjust that a little bit. So the law starts coming down. Just to kind of answer to your question about the law, it's like the law, you're changing the law mindset. It's coming down little by little. And then, as your kids get older, even now in their 20s, it's like, you still might have some strong positions that you have. But if your kid chooses to go a different path that's not that position, you're trying to, okay, how do I walk with them and figure out if that is actually a position that's correct, even though I don't see it. Yeah. And then and sometimes it's like, oh, wow, I didn't see that, and they did it, and it worked out. Okay, that's good. My law is growing. Yeah. And that's the friendship part, actually, because then you're starting to trust, because it's kind of moving from that one-sided, I have the values that you should be having, to we both have some values. But then it's like, I'm not sure if that's a value, but I have to let you go on the journey to figure it out. Yeah. And it's like, okay, now I am growing, because now you've added a value that I didn't know was a law, in a sense.
Yeah.
Worth putting into the framework.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So I feel like it's a good journey. I'm glad that we're on the journey together, and I'd encourage all of you guys out there, if you have a son that's in the family. I don't like to call Landon my son-in-law. Son-in-love, I know is kind of what they use, but that's kind of cheesy too.
I agree.
Just like my son.
Yeah.
This is my son in the family, and if you have reason why would you not want to call someone your son-in-law or your father-in-law? Because then it's sort of like in your brain, it's kind of still out here, separation. So if it's endearing, then use it. But if it's like a title does kind of lock us out, and like, okay, like for me with my father-in-law, it's like, yeah, I wanted him to be father-in-law. I wasn't ready to say dad. And when the Lord started saying dad, that felt weird. It's like, here's my dad, and you want me to use the same word for you? He wasn't trying to make me use it, but like in my own brain, it's like, okay, I'm going to call you dad. I'm going to call you dad. And I remember one of the first times I called my mom and then called Heather's mom in the presence of each other. I felt like a betrayal.
Really?
It's like, hello, mom. And it still feels a little awkward to call your mother-in-law mom.
Yeah.
And you're saying, hi, mom. And then your mom's there. And you're like, are they jealous? You're kind of thinking, are they going to handle this? And then you're thinking, this feels a little weird, but I should be doing it.
Yeah.
Because the word mom or dad is more endearing. I mean, I know we all need healing, but like in the redemption of that word with mom and dad, there's a preciousness to it that you like.
And it's offering up that honor to that person.
So it's interesting, those dynamics. But I mean, I want to talk more about this, but we'll close out today's session. But for further sessions, we'll talk deeper into these relational dynamics with Landon here. And but if you have some relational dynamics similar to what we just gave a little snippet of, keep working at them. It's worth it. It's valuable. There's a treasure there. God loves it when we go for that, because why are we on the earth anyways? Once we're in heaven, you're going to have automatic love built in because he is love. And so now we have love inside of us, and we have to work at it to get people into that space in our heart. But it's such a treasure. Thanks for being on the journey of finding that treasure and being committed to find that treasure in us. I appreciate that. And I'm letting us find that treasure in you too.
Oh, yeah, baby.
We will talk to you guys again soon. If you have any questions about this conversation, just put it in the feed, and we would love to, answer questions and just keep having this relational family dynamic, and share this with somebody else that you think could benefit from it.
Please.
Peace.